Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. RonMan here as always. Today we're taking a look at Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Genesis. Also, if you're new here and you like my content, please consider subscribing, and if you like the content, please consider hitting that like button. Sonic 2 is a sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog and was released the following year in November of 1992. Sonic 2 continues the story and improves the gameplay in almost every way, and yet I still like the first game more. I know many of you would disagree with this, and fair enough. I do think Sonic 2 is the better game. I just prefer the first Sonic, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Although Sonic 2 is fundamentally the same, Sega responded to many of the criticisms of the first game. Instead of going through each level like I did in my Sonic 1 review, this time I'll focus more on the changes that were made. Perhaps three of the biggest and most obvious changes are number 1, Tails, number 2, the ability to use the spin dash, and number 3, most of the zones now have only 2 acts. The spin dash is fun to use and really helps to speed up the gameplay, and having only 2 acts per zone allowed the developers to increase the variety of level settings. As a result, Sonic 2 feels much bigger and faster than Sonic 1. But believe it or not, Sonic 2 has only one more level than the original Sonic, although it seems like the levels in Sonic 2 are slightly larger. Not only that, but the levels overall have a much better balance of speed and platforming, making Sonic 2 a much more consistent experience. The overall difficulty grows steadily without any major spikes. When it comes to the special stages, the changes here were significant. Now it's possible to enter bonus stages several times during a single stage, making it possible to get Supersonic really early in the game. I unlocked Supersonic in Chemical Plant. Yeah, that's pretty early. So here's how it works. If you hit a checkpoint with at least 50 rings, you'll gain access to the special stage. This time, to get the Chaos Emerald, you need to collect a certain amount of rings while you run through a pseudo 3D track. And yeah, I hate these bonus stages. Once you collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds, you'll gain the ability to turn into Supersonic. To do this, you need to collect 50 rings and jump. As Supersonic, you're invincible and fast as shit. This is a great reward for collecting all the Chaos Emeralds. Now that Sonic has a sidekick, you can now have a second player play as Tails alongside Sonic, but in a limited capacity. While playing with Sonic and Tails, Tails is unable to jump on item boxes and will often get left behind. But thankfully, Tails will respawn if he dies. This also helps to balance the difficulty. When we were kids, during boss fights, my friends and I would often have Tails take out Robotnik, while the other player, controlling Sonic, would avoid taking damage. Now, when you're playing as just Sonic or Tails alone, the difference between them is merely cosmetic, although there is one unfortunate exception. If you play the campaign as Tails alone and you collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds, yeah, nothing happens. No Super Tails. Why not? Like, did they just forget? Well, that sucks. Another new feature to Sonic 2 is the 2-player competitive mode. It's just a race. It's okay. An aspect of Sonic 2 that's better than okay is the music, and my god, the music is phenomenal. Not only is each track great on its own, but they each seem to perfectly represent the stages they were designed for. Aquatic Ruin Zone has an Amazonian vibe to it, and Casino Nights definitely has the vibe of Las Vegas. If you've played this game, you know exactly what I mean. 2 years later, Sonic 2 received its first and only expansion, in the form of a new playable character, Knuckles the Echidna. If you lock Sonic 2 onto Sonic and Knuckles, you can play the game as Knuckles. How cool is that? This blew my mind back in the 90s. Then I was sorely disappointed that you couldn't do the same with Sonic 1, but still, this was awesome. Small changes were made to the level layouts to better support Knuckles' abilities. Not only that, but this time it's easier to get all the Chaos Emeralds, and yes, you can unlock Super Knuckles. As much as they improved on the gameplay, I feel like they could have polished Sonic 2 a little more. Like, why no Super Tails? Did they just completely forget that players might want to play as Tails alone and collect the Chaos Emeralds? Either they forgot or deliberately left this out. Either way, seems kinda lazy. Another thing, again, I'm not sure if this was an oversight or deliberate, but some of the enemies are placed in the most inconvenient locations. Ah, fuck off. You have to know beforehand that the enemies are there because there's no time to react. It's so annoying. And what's up with this pit in Mystic Cave? It's a long way down with spikes at the bottom. Well, why not just a bottomless pit? If you fall down this hole, either way, the consequence is death. So why not just make it a bottomless pit and speed up the process for the player? This really isn't a big deal unless you have Supersonic. Then you just have to wait until your rings run out. How tedious is that? It seems like they didn't have Supersonic in mind when they were designing this. Sonic 2 is also pretty buggy, at least the version that I'm playing. Now remember, this game has been re-released many times, but of course we're talking about the Genesis version. Every single time I play this, there are all kinds of bugs and glitches. Thankfully, they don't often ruin the game, but sometimes they do. I don't have any footage of it, but this next example has happened to me twice. In Hilltop Zone, while Supersonic, I would land on these purple badniks and the game would freeze. Now sometimes games freeze, but this happened to me this exact same way twice while I was streaming on Twitch. Fucking annoying. Okay, so even though it's not perfect, Sonic 2 is a much better game. So why don't I like it more than the original? I'll tell you, but keep in mind this is just my opinion, and if you think Sonic 2 is way better, I really wouldn't disagree with you. It really just comes down to the levels. I don't like the levels as much. Yes, when they're good, they're great. But when they're not good, they're painful. I like all the stages up until Mystic Cave. Then I dislike the rest of the game, with the only exception being Wing Fortress Zone. That level's okay. Sky Chase Zone is not my idea of fun. I've never been a fan of auto-scrolling levels, especially those without checkpoints. I don't enjoy Mystic Cave, Oil Ocean, or the Death Egg. And I absolutely loathe Metropolis Zone, all 3 acts of it. Yeah, thanks, assholes. Why are there 3 acts of that level? Of all the levels in the game, why did they choose Metropolis Zone to have 3 acts? I mean, Wing Fortress Zone's not bad. Why couldn't there have been 2 acts of that? Why couldn't there have been 3 acts of anything before Mystic Cave? Blows my fucking mind. So that's it. When it comes to Sonic 1, the consistency is all over the place. Everybody hates Labyrinth Zone, but I would rather play Labyrinth Zone 100 times than play Metropolis Zone once. Either way, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is a great game. It does have some flaws. The level design is not perfect, but the graphics, the music, and the gameplay is all fantastic. Overall, I give Sonic the Hedgehog 2 an 8 out of 10. Okay, so I know I gave Sonic 1 an 8 and then went and said that Sonic 2 is technically better, but I'm trying to be objective and subjective here. Sonic 2 makes a lot of improvements, but overall I don't enjoy it as much. I don't want to put it above the first game because I don't like it as much as the first game, and that's my subjective opinion. But I can't put it below the first game because it is technically a better game, and that's my objective opinion. I'm sorry that that's kind of confusing, but thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. I have a lot more content coming, and I'll see you next time.